3. No, I didn't. Oh, hang on. Okay. We'll change over. Let's take a look at what Marathon's doing. Let's take a look at Marathon. See how Marathon's doing. Oh my. Oh dear. Oh, will you just look at that? Hello, Big Mac on Big Man. I said Big Mac. I'm sorry. Hi, Big Man on campus. Are you really a big man on campus? You know how to show a girl a good time, do you? Yeah, look at Marathon. 49,000 players. 24-hour peak of 60. Look at this. Oh, that looks an awful lot like a continuous downward trend, does it not? Oh, that looks like a continuous downward trend. Oh my. And it's been live for 6 days. 6 days already on a downward trend. After 6 days. They canceled 2 appearances, public appearances. Yeah. I'm really curious. Bungie on the other side, the majority of Marathon's player base are on PC too. That doesn't surprise me. Well, it's funny because I've heard word that today max players is probably players right now is 49. Right now, that's the max. That's the players right now. That may end up being the peak playership for today. It might. There's a potential it might climb a little bit higher before it's slumping again. It's possible, but I mean, look at that. Look what it's meant. Oh my God! Look what it dropped down to yesterday. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that cliff. That's yesterday. At 0600 hours Greenwich Mean Time, it had 26. Oh, did they do a patch yesterday? Oh, wait. Okay. If they ran a patch yesterday, that would explain it. If they had run a patch yesterday, that would explain it. Okay. Server reset would explain that. Okay. Then that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, it's. Oh. Now, just out of curiosity. How's Slay the Spire doing? Oh, would you look at that? 217,000 players still had a peak of 538,000. After 6 days, it's still hitting a 24-hour peak, pretty fucking close to its all-time peak. 6 a.m. Greenwich Mean is midnight central? Okay. Look at that. It's still getting peaks to match the all-time peak at launch. And it's at 217,000 right now. Look at that. And again. Look at that. Just look at it. Just look at it. I love the fact that Shroud thinks that if this fails, that Bungie is still going to keep the servers active even if it goes off a cliff and they get nothing. Shroud has openly said that. We saw that, I think, in Rev's video a day or two ago. Like, Shroud apparently thinks that even if the game flops, they're going to maintain the servers and they won't shut it down. Really? Really? At this point, I am almost ready to say, I'm really close to saying that I think that this game may die and shut down within the first week or 2 of April. I think so. I think it's possible. I think that Marathon, if it continues on this trend, it's losing thousands of players on a daily basis. They might push to free to play. I don't know. I don't think they can. I don't think they can push a free to play at this point, not this early. I'm thinking if it continues on this downward trend, I think it's going to be dead and shut down within the first week or two of April. I think that's going to happen. They've already been backpedaling and eating shit as fast as they can. I've been hearing word that they've been deleting reviews off of Xbox. So any reviews on Xbox, they've supposedly been deleting. They needed 7 to 10 million games, somewhere between 7 and 10 million games for it to be a finance. Actually, 7 to 10 million. Yeah, 7 to 10 million for financial success. I was trying to remember if it was for break even or financial success. And yeah, like 7 to 11 million. Put that more on the high side of it closer towards the 11 million to be successful. They're not selling that many copies. They're not. Their all-time peak was 88,000. And how many of these players are return players? And they haven't bought the game again. So yeah, I think at this point, it may be safe to predict that I think Marathon will shut down about the second week in April. If it continues this downward trend, if we don't see a massive uptick in it, I think it may actually shut down about the second week of April. I could be wrong, but that's my suspicion right now. Second week of April. Yep. We shall see. We shall see. And if it does, we will have the Conhyavon trifecta. Hey, no, it says it's also lowballing for it to break even. Let's see. Lowballing it for break even if they only had a budget of 250 million. I'm not sure what the budget is. I don't know if it was ever disclosed what the budget is. Yeah, okay, so it is 250. Yeah, it is 250 million. So I think you called that. Yeah, it does. So you're right, Desiree. You're correct. So yeah, 250 million. Break-even points. Okay, so the break-even point is not $7 to $11 million. The break-even point is between 7 and 12 million copies. They need to sell between 7 and 12 million copies, and let's be real, it needs to be on the high side. They need to sell 11 or 12 million copies to break even. And that's not going to happen. Nope, never going to happen. It will never happen. So yeah, is 20 and 250 just the game dev budget, or is it counting for marketing? That's just development cost. That the 250 was just development cost. I honestly don't know how much marketing there was for this. I legit do not know if there was even any marketing for this because I don't even remember hearing anything. Let's see, actually, we've got a financial breakdown by someone on Steam. Hang on, let's take a look at this. Financial breakdown, Marathon's financial reality. Let's do the math. Quick disclaimer before we dive in. I'm not here to hate on Marathon or stir up drama. If you're enjoying the game, words are hard. If you're enjoying the game, genuinely, good for you. The reviews are sitting at 87% positive on Steam. Plenty of people seem to be having a great time with it. Honestly, as someone who grew up with Bungie's games, it actually hurts to watch what's unfolding here. I genuinely cannot wrap my head around the decisions Sony and Bungie have made leading up to this point. But instead of just ranting, I want to simply run the numbers and lay out what Marathon's financial situation actually looks like based on publicly available data. No agenda, no dead game dooming, just math. Because numbers don't fucking lie. Because I think it's worth understanding the sheer scale of what Bungie and Sony need this game to achieve, regardless how you feel about the game itself. And yes, of course it's front page on Xbox. They're desperate to sell it. The development cost. Let's start with the elephant in the room. No official budget has ever been disclosed, but we can piece it together quite reliably. 300 developers worked on Marathon, confirmed by game director Joe Ziegler. 5 to 6 years of development, started in 2020, shipped March 5th, 2026. Fully loaded cost per AAA dev in Seattle, 150 to 200K per year. So basically, they're looking at paying each of the 300 developers 150 to 200K per year. Do the math. For 100 devs times 5 years times 175 average, splitting the difference there, would be $262 million. $262 million for the development of this game at the cost of the developers alone. The widely circulated $250 million estimate does check out, but that's before marketing, which for a game of this profile could easily add another 50 to $100 million in marketing. Now, I will say, I don't know how much money Bungie sunk into marketing, because realistically, and I could just be living under a rock, I will fully admit that, I don't remember seeing any marketing for this game whatsoever. Did you guys? Because I personally don't remember seeing or hearing any marketing about this game at all. I don't remember seeing any YouTube YouTube commercials. I don't remember people. I don't remember people like Angry Joe really talking about it when a preview comes out or anything like that. I legit don't remember seeing any marketing for this whatsoever. The only marketing was the reports they stole art. Yeah, that was the only thing I actually saw about Marathon. The only thing I knew about Marathon was that they stole art and stuck it in their game and hoped that no one noticed. That's literally the only fucking thing I heard about it. So, Peanut was sponsored for the game? Oh, 100%. Oh, 100%. But, he's a Bungie shill. Absolutely. I have no shame in saying that. He's 100% a Bungie shill. Because, literally every other streamer, including those that were paid to show for it, were saying, holy shit, this game sucks. Leaflet tried it and played it for a couple matches and said, fuck this shit, I'm returning it. Literally every streamer that I've heard of that has played this game was this sucks, and quit very quickly. I think he admitted he was paid to show for it. If he did, I have not heard about it. There was no question that he was. The moment he started screeching, well, it's only just come out. You gotta let them cook. And to quote our boy Fleek, that's what the development time was for. So, yeah, blatant shill obviously didn't help. Despite the fact that Burnt Peanut is a big streamer, obviously being paid to show it didn't help the game in any way, shape, or form. Leaf played it, returned it after what? I think you guys said it was a couple matches and she returned it. No, but, no, his Fleek's joke about that was what the development time is for, as I think may have been a reference to another game where people were saying, well, you just gotta let it cook. You gotta let the devs cook on it after it's already launched. Might have been for a different game, I don't recall. Anyway, back to the numbers. The launch numbers. Oh, so anyway, going back to this. So going on the assumption that they did spend, we'll split the difference, say they spent $75 million on advertising in some fashion. Yeah, it was higher, that's right. So let's go on the assumption that they did spend $75 million on advertising. Just split the average. Maybe they spent it somewhere that we didn't see it. So that would mean that they spent a grand total of $332 billion between dev costs and release costs. And they spent $332 million. And by the way, they're charging $40 for the game. Marathon's $40 for the game. You have to remember, Bungie is only getting back 70% of that cost. So it's being charged $40 for it. And Bungie's basically getting back about 25 or maybe $30. Closer to 25, actually, I'd say. Because at least with Steam takes a 30% cut off the games. So Bungie is only receiving back 70% of the sale cost. So yeah, they need that full 12 million copies just to break even. 28 is mine. Okay, so 28 bucks. There you go. I was close. I was somewhere in the middle there. So yeah, he's sold, and just a reminder, that 11, 12 million copies sold is only to break even. That doesn't even get them a profit. It is break even only. So here's the launch numbers. Let's see. Here's where it gets painful. Steam all-time peaks. Excuse me. Steam all-time peak. 88,337 concurrent players. 250K copies sold on Steam pre-launch via the Alinea Analytics estimate. Number 18 on the PS Store bestsellers, not even in the top 10. Don't even think it was on the top 10 in Xbox either. I think it was like top 15 maybe. It was below oh fuck, I can't remember what was below. We saw that I think it was in Fleek's video. We saw where it ranked, but I can't remember. It was below like some like nothing game. For comparison, Arc Raiders, Marathon's competitor, peaked at 264,000 concurrent on Steam and has sold over 12 million copies. Marathon isn't even in the same ballpark. Yeah, Arc Raiders has sold 12 million copies to date, and look how long it's been out. That's Arc Raiders. And even Puck Raiders is losing steam because, hang on. Thank you, scary guy. Even Arc Raiders. Look where Arc Raiders is sitting at right now. Look at the fall off. It was an all-time peak 4 months ago, 481,000, and it's lost 3/4 of its player base. We're seeing a downward trend. Like even Arc Raiders, its competitor that launched 4 months ago, it is slowly starting to, it's still got good numbers, 154,000, almost 155,000 players. This is nothing to sneeze at. Nothing to sneeze at. That is a very healthy amount of players. But for it only being 4 months old, that's a fall off. That is not an insubstantial fall off for Arc Raiders. And Marathon is doing far worse than Arc Raiders is doing or has done. It's on far worse. Being generous across all platforms, let's say Steam accounts for 400,000 copies, PS5 may double that at 800,000 copies, Xbox a marginal 100,000 copies. We're looking at roughly 1 to 1.3 million copies sold in the first week. Let's be optimistic and call it 1 million. Okay? So, optimistically, it sold 1 million this first week. The break-even nightmare. At $40 retail, after platform cuts being 30%, Bungie keeps roughly $28 per copy. Keep in mind, most AAA games launch at $70 these days. Marathon launched at $40, roughly half. And yes, this is not he may get into it, but yeah, this is also before factoring in refunds, like what Leaflet did, where she played 2 or 3 matches, said, fuck this shit, I'm out, and returned the game and got a refund. So how many refunds have there been since it is launched? Good question. I don't know if we have those numbers. The pricing decision alone nearly doubles the number of copies needed to break even compared to a full price title. To recoup the $250 million development cost, but that's only development. When you factor in marketing, running costs, oh, that's another factor. Yeah, $40 to $80 million for the servers, the live team, seasonal content support, anti-cheat. Let's split the difference here and say 60 million. We'll go, we're doing a range here. We'll split the difference, say 60 million. So that's 60 million on top of the existing 332 million. So now we are up to almost $400 million for Marathon. 250 for the devs, 70,000 for the or 70,000 for the marketing, and a further what would I say, 60 million for running costs. We are now up to almost 400,000. Mention her issues in therapy. I have no doubts you mentioned it. I have no doubt. Most thing I've heard about is it's boring and the UI is dog shit and so complicated that no one can figure it the fuck out because their UI is absolute garbage. So garbage UI, also boring, not to mention it looks like shit. Let's see, you're looking at total cost of $340 to $430 million through March 2027. That means Bungie needs to sell somewhere in the range of 12 to 15 million copies. Look more on the high side of that one. You're probably looking at, given the additional layer of costs, they're going to need the 15 million. You're going to have to look at the high side on this one. So 50 million copies just to break even from game sales alone. Well, what about microtransactions? Yes, the magic money printer that's supposed to save every live service game. Fuck. Here's the problem. Marathon's in-game shop items just don't look good. And I'm not being snarky here. This is genuinely one of those critical issues for the game's financial survival. Okay, I need to point something out here. Let's be real. The whole game looks like shit. We've seen gameplay. We've seen the graphics. It's not just the in-game shop items. The entire game looks visually terrible. Visually speaking, the game looks terrible. It looks ugly. It looks bland. It looks like it looks like someone tried to make a Lego FPS and failed abysmally. It looks like crap. And yes, the UI is that bad. It's the whole game looks bad. It's completely uninspired schlock and garbage. There's absolutely no you see no inspiration. There's probably more inspiration in some of the backgrounds where they used the art that they stole. Probably the art that they stole was the most original and interesting looking thing out of the whole fucking game. Legitimately, that art that they stole it because it's the only good thing, the only good looking thing in the game. The rest of it all looks like dog shit. The entire monetization model relies on players voluntarily spending $15+ on cosmetic packs. Fortnite, Valorant, CS2 have proven that players will spend money on cosmetics, but only if they actually look cool and feel worth showing off. Marathon's hyper-stylized, cluttered... hyper-stylized... No. I'm sorry. He's probably just using their term. He's probably just using Bungie's term when they describe Marathon. This is not hyper-stylized. Okay? This is degraded stylization. Okay, the marathon, the game, from the screenshots and from the gameplay footage that we've seen in reviews, literally looks like the game is destabilizing while you play it. It looks that dull and plain and washed out that the game literally looks like it is destabilizing while you are playing it. It is not hyper stylized. Again, I realize he's using Bungie's work for it, not his own work. But yeah, it looks but it's got a hyper stylized, clustered aesthetic, the same design language that's already been heavily criticized for making the UI borderline unreadable. Extends into the shop. If players are already struggling with the menus, they're not going to get excited about dropping money on skins designed in the same visual style. Very true. If average microtransaction revenue per active player lands at $5 instead of the 15 to 20 you need for the model to work, the entire revenue projection collapses. Realistic first-year revenue. Let's be optimistic. Game sales, 3 to 5 million copies times $28 equals $84 to $112 million. Microtransactions, assuming modest average spend, maybe $30 to $60 million. Total one-year revenue, $120 to $170 million. That is a far cry from the $400 million that this game is going to that this game needs to do in order to simply break even. We are at the point where Bungie is going to be taking a massive fucking loss to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars at this point. Bigger picture. Okay. Against total cost of the 344 to 30 million, that's a gap of 170 to 310 million after the first full year. Again, assume it's going to be on the higher side. Bigger picture. Sony, $3.6 billion problem. Marathon's budget can't be understood in isolation. Sony bought Bungie for $3.6 billion in 2022. $2.4 billion for the shares, $1.2 billion in retention payments. Since then, Destiny 2 revenue came in at 45% below projections. Destiny fell off hard after Sony bought it. Fell off hard. Bungie bloated to 1,600 employees before cutting 30% of the workforce across multiple rounds of layoffs. Sony recorded a $204 million impairment loss on Bungie's assets. Sony lost $204 million on Bungie. $204 million loss on Bungie. An additional $118 million correction on previously capitalized dev costs. CEO Pete Parsons departed August of this year. Marathon's original creative director, Chris Barrett, was removed mid-production after receiving $36.8 million in retention payments. So, Chris Barrett, the original creative director, got $36.8 million and then was yoinked. So that was Sony literally pissing away $36.8 million on a guy that they yoinked off the project. And he still gets to keep that money. Goncore parallels are impossible to ignore. Sony poured over $200 million into that game only to shut it down within 2 weeks. And here is the crux of it that a lot of people are forgetting about. Where Shroud is saying, well, even if Marathon fails, Bungie's going to still keep everything running. They won't shut it down. They'll still keep it running. Concord was also a Sony product. Sony put $200 million into it. Pretty fucking close to the $250 dev cost that they put into Marathon. And they shut it down in 2 weeks. Now, is Marathon going to shut down in 2 weeks? No. No, I do not think they'll shut down Marathon in 2 weeks. Do I think they'll shut it down in a month and a half? If it keeps going the way it's going? Yes. Yes, I do. So anybody that's like, so Shroud, if you're out there, remember, Sony shut down Concord in 2 weeks and they poured just as much, almost as much money into it as they did into Marathon. Just remember that. Was the real cost for Concord $400 million? That I don't know. I don't remember seeing what the total final cost was. If you factor in, because Concord for sure. I think that it could have ballooned to 400 because without a doubt, Sony dumped not Sony. Well, it could have been Sony, but also, what was it? Wild Heart. What the hell was the name of the dev behind it? Wild Heart Studios or some bullshit like that. Don't forget, they dumped a fuckload of money into advertising for Concord. Don't forget about that. Concord? Wild Lake. Thank you. Yeah, Wild Lake or Firewalk Studios. Wild Lake was high. Okay, I see where we're getting mixed up. Wild Lake was High Guard. Firewalk was Concord. That's what it was. We're getting mixed up. Granted, we have had so many back-to-back just disasters that have died within a month of launch at most that it's easy to mix them up. But Concord, if you guys remember, Concord had massive amounts of advertisement poured into it. They advertised the living fuck out of this game. Don't forget they did full cinematics for it, like advertising. They did full advertising cinematics. They had the secret level episode. They were actually like putting together weekly cinematics for the game. They did a whole ton of other advertisements, all kinds of interviews, like shelling out to the games journalists and giving them special advertisements. So don't forget that Concord dumped a lot of money into advertising, and it still died in 2 weeks. Marathon, if it had advertising, I never saw it. And we're already on the downward slope. So that's why I said I think it's going to be done after a month and a half. Let's see. Marathon at least seems to have more engaged player base, but the financial hole is arguably deeper. What needs to happen for Marathon Survivor? We need to maintain and grow its player base over 3 to 4 years in a genre where Arc Raiders already dominates, although Arc Raiders is on downward decline. Honestly, I think, it's the genre of like Arc Raiders and Marathon, I think is not as popular as it used to be. We're seeing more of a desire for people to do the quote unquote friend slop games, the adventure games like Expedition 33. There is a great deal of more interest in those kind of games versus, the extraction shooter and the arena shooter. I legitimately think players on a broad scope scale are not overly much interested in extraction shooters and arena shooters as much anymore. I really don't think that they are. The hype for that has died down. They were good. I mean, Helldivers obviously still doing well, and that's an extraction shooter. But the hype for them now is cooled, where the new extraction shooters
Ember
that come
Paradox
out, nobody
is so
cares.
Cute. I can't handle
Thank
it.
you,
She's just
verbose bard.
She's so cute.
Absolutely. It is absolutely an oversaturated market, and people are now looking for more engaging, interesting, like adventure type games, a la Expedition 33, or they want to just do fun, casual, like friend slop games and just play with friends and just do something fun and cute and quirky. The extraction shooters, they really don't care. And simply, I don't think Helldivers could be considered a horde shooter because Helldivers, you don't think it's an extraction shooter? I don't know. I think it might. I kind of get the feeling like maybe it's an extraction shooter / horde shooter. It might be a combination. Just think about it. The whole purpose of Helldivers, you drop in, complete your missions, and extract out. And during that time, you may end up like encountering hordes. Raid type extraction. Anyway, we're not gonna get stuck on classifying what the fuck Helldivers is. Anyway, excuse me. Let's continue. Dramatically improve the cosmetic shop to drive meaningful microtransaction revenue. Like that's gonna happen. Deliver compelling seasonal content that keeps players coming back after every forced wipe. X2 Doubt. Essentially become a top 5 best-selling game of the year according to analysts. Never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. Marathon is not a snowball chance in hell that it's going to become the top 5 best-selling game. Helldivers is receiving negative reviews again because the draw. See, the negative reviews Helldivers is receiving because of the Reddit bullshit, I think that shouldn't be taken out on the game. Because I strongly disagree with Helldivers the game getting negative reviews because a bunch of psychopaths on Reddit decided to basically go tsundere for go yandere for the devs when someone just basically did basically just did a friendly challenge to the devs of, hey, let's you play your game on on Super Helldive to prove its balance, and I'll donate 1,000 to charity. It was just a fun little challenge for the devs to engage with. This wasn't a commentary on the game. It's not even a commentary on the devs. The devs were not the ones to dox this poor guy and ruin his life. It was the fucking psychos and schizos on Reddit that did all of this. Okay? So let us get that straight. That the developers of Helldiver did not ruin this poor guy's life. The freak shows of Reddit ruined his life. That needs to be made clear. Taking it out on on Helldivers and the devs of Helldivers, that is grotesquely unfair to the developers. They had nothing to do with it. And instead of it's honestly, it's disgusting that people are bad-mouthing the game and bad-mouthing the devs instead of bad-mouthing the freak shows that ruined this poor guy's life. That is how brain rotted people are in the space, that they can't use a functioning brain and logic to go, hey, The devs didn't have anything to do with this. Why should we be mad at the devs? Let's, how about we tell Reddit to ban these fuckers off the platform and tell the guy who lost everything, maybe you should sue. Like, the guy who lost everything, he needs to sue them. He legitimately, 100% needs to sue them for ruining his life like that. He needs to get a lawyer, tell Reddit to give up the names, and get them in court and sue. Abs-fucking-lutely. Anyway, that's sidetracked by everything else. All this is in a genre that's inherently more niche than the Battle Royale or Hero supermarkets that other live service games target. What really gets me, look, this is the studio that made Halo, that built Destiny from ground up. Bungie has some of the most talented people in the industry, and the gunplay in Marathon apparently proves that. This 87% positive reviews don't come from nowhere. You could make speculation about shills, but I'll leave that be. But the decision surrounding this game just baffled me. Who looked at a $250 million extraction shooter and said $40 is the right price point? Who greenlit expanding to 1,600 employees while Destiny was underperforming? Who swapped creative directors mid-production and thought that would cause massive delays and cost overruns? I'm not angry, just sad. This is a studio that deserves better leadership and better strategic decisions. The developers clearly poured their hearts into this game. X to doubt on that one. Big X to doubt on that one, because if the developers clearly poured their hearts into the game, they would not have stolen artwork to put in the game. If they had actually poured their heart into the game, they would have created their own designs and would have not had to steal them. So I'm sorry, I have to say X to doubt that they poured their heart into it. I'm sorry, I do. And they're now carrying the weight of years of mismanagement above them. Whatever happens to Marathon, I hope the people who actually built it land on their feet. TLDR, Marathon likely caused $250+ million to develop. Arcane first-year operating cost $340 to $430 million, push it to $340 to $430 million. Current trajectory, year one revenue might cover only 30 to 50% of that. I'd say closer to the 30% side. The in-game shop, which is supposed to be long-term revenue engine, has unappealing items that undermine the entire monetization strategy. Meanwhile, Marathon is priced at $40, where AAA standard sits at $70, nearly doubling the copies needed to break even. Bungie needs to sell 12 to 15 million copies, again, look more on the high end for that, and generate substantial microtransaction revenue just to get there. After a launch peak of 88K on Steam versus art graders of 264. No, my guy. Oh, launch. Okay, yeah, I did launch that, and then it gained traction afterwards. He's right. That looks like a very, very steep hill to climb. Sorry, just don't just bet on Marathon. They bet $3.6 billion on Bungie, and right now, that bet is looking worse by the quarter. Numbers are estimates based on publicly available data, analysis reports, and industry standard calculations. No official budget has been confirmed by Bungie or Sony. And I'm going to say something. Even if Bungie had priced this game at $70 like the industry standard for most AAA titles, I still don't think that would have saved them. I still legitimately don't think that would have saved them. Because let's do some quick math. So, first and foremost, let's break down if they'd priced this at a $70 day. All right. Let's see. Okay. So if they had priced this at a $70 game, after the cut, they would have made, I'll round it up and say they would have made $50. Okay. After the 30% standard cut, I would have said, I'll round it up and say that Bungie would take in $50 on every game if they had priced it at 70. All right. So, game sales were doing 3 to 4 million copies. So, if say they did the if we do the 3 million copies, they would have made $150 million. Or if they did 4 million copies, they would have made $200 million. Still very shy. Still very short. of what they needed. Because I'll go on the high side. Say they sold 4 million copies. All right, add in, I'll do the high side, 60 million. So they would have only made, if we calculate on the high end, all right, if I calculate on the maximum end, $70 game, and they sold 4 million copies, plus the high end of 60 million for the microtransactions, the game would have made $260 million. Okay? For the year. 260 million for the year. Look what their costs are. They'd still be losing money. And this is what I'm saying, even if they priced it at a AAA price of $70 per game, they'd still be losing $1 to $2 million for the first year. Even at a 70, like here, let me pull it up. Let me pull up a calculator for you. Calculator, where are you? There we go. All right, I need to pull up a calculator for you. There we go. All right, so again, going on the assumption, I'll tell you how I ran my numbers here. So $70 game and 30% cup, $21. So, where's I don't have a clear key. So 70 minus $21 gives you $49. I rounded it up to 50. All right. So, say again, we'll go on the high side.
Paradox is so cute.
They got 4 million copies sold. Hello, Starsky. Thank you for the follow. All right, so 4 million copies. All right, times $50 is what they're taking in. Thank you for both Bar. Thank you very much. Okay, so they make $200 million on the copies alone. All right, microtransactions again will go on the high side. 269. That would be their 1 year. Take it. 1 million. 1 year. $260 million. That doesn't even cover the low end cost of what they need to break even. Remember, this is a break-even price of $340 to $430 million. Even with it being a AAA game price of $70, they are still about 100 million short on the low end. If you go on the high end, they're about 200 million short. So they're short no matter what, even if they priced it as a $70 game. This game is a flop. This game is, without question, a flop. It's going to die, and there's a question of, is it going to die so significantly that it takes Bungie with it? Now, do I think Bungie is going to go the way of the Doto after this? No, I don't. I think Bungie may actually be okay. I don't think they're going to shutter Bungie because they still have the, they still have the Halo. Or wait, does 343 Studios still have Halo, or did it go back to Bungie? I forget. Who's got Halo right now? 343 or Bungie? Okay, 343's got it? Okay. For what definition of okay? It won't get shuttered. I don't think that Bungie is going to get shut down as a studio. But there's going to be cuts. I do think Bungie is going to probably, I imagine after all of this, Bungie is probably going to lose about half of its employees. I think I would not be at all surprised to hear that Bungie's staffing gets reduced by 25 to 30%. Don't be at all surprised that Sony comes out and says that they're doing staffing cuts of 25 to 30%. I would expect that because it's already that the staffing is already ballooned. It's already a balloon to 1,600, which obviously they don't need to put up crap like Marathon, so they'll do a 25-30% staffing cut. I'd say month or two. I'd say roughly a month or two. So yeah, marathon is I don't think it's gonna last. I don't think it's gonna last. Like I said, I'm at this point I'm inclined to say mid April is 2 weeks into April. I think marathon may act as the game may actually be shut down, and we may or may not hear about staffing cuts at Bungie before or after that. So yeah, that's where it's gonna be sitting at.